So we're here right now in the side museum of Minecraft artifacts. Now there's a lot of interesting things here, a lot to do with the first history of Minecraft, and we're going to start with our first exhibit of a marble statue of Jeffrey, who is actually a predecessor of Steve. You see, very little is known about him, but it's come to the conclusion that he did exist well before Steve even bothered being here. And this is a dedication to his true loyalty to the Minecraft world, because he was here first, and that's why it matters. Moving on though, we have a great piece right here. This is the armor of Alexander, the noble, not the great. See, this was his first armor constructed when he fought against the giant slime balls of the Nether. Not regular magma slime balls, but actual like slime balls just in the overworld, because they actually existed in the Nether before, and this is what he used to combative. You'll note the strikes here, here, and here are very consistent with that of jellies and how they would normally attack. In the end though, he only managed to bring them permanently into the overworld, which was still a very noble task, and his sacrifices will never be forgotten, as depicted with his armor. Moving on, we now have some random constructions of the speculation of what the Ender Dragon was like before he actually got to the end. This is the Ender Dragon in its teenage stages, still being a quite rebellious, as you can see from its tail curl, because it was still misbehaving and decided to be a rebellious teenager in that age. It was developing still. And here we have Jeffrey in his later ages. He did indeed get samurai armor, which is very cool, if I do say so myself. And here we have the original milk jug that fed the baby Ender Dragon. As you can see, the art depicts the Ender Dragon existing in the overworld, which is in fact where they grew up in. However, thanks to Alexander the Noble, yet again, I forgot about that part, he sent the dragons to the end. And lastly, right here, we have what the creeper was thought to be looked as back when Jeffrey still existed. Very strange and very rudimentary. Moving on though, we have what seems to be the first book ever created in the world. Now notice that it was made out of Jeffrey's face. You'll notice the eyes and the mouth right here. And this was his wolf's fur. They wanted to make sure that they would never forget the stories and crafting skills of Jeffrey. So before literature and written language, they didn't know how to designate a book about Jeffrey. So instead, they just took his face and put it on the book. Very fine details. You'll notice the notches and the sewing of his mouth so that he could always be quiet. Very fascinating stuff. Very interesting. And here we have Jeffrey's original sword as depicted from the statue. Very unique, very rare, stronger than diamond, worth noting. He used this to slay the Ender Dragon, and it was indeed used when they skinned his face for the book. Moving on, we have a very original piece called Ender. Self-explanatory. Moving on, another great picture of Jeffrey in his older days with his beautiful wife, Christina. He might have been blind. And over here, we have a beautiful mosaic of a regular Minecraft world, except there's a mushroom, for no apparent reason. And we're not going to talk about this one. Anyway, here we have a majestic crafting of what a creeper was mid-Jeff era, if that makes sense. You see, they were still refining the techniques of identifying things because literature still did not exist. And here we have a beautiful portrait of what is believed to be one of Alexander the Noble's wives. He had many wives, and this was one to remember by. So he kept that locket always with him. Now, we have Jeffrey's work clothes. He liked to mine. That's about it. I have no idea who this man is. Moving on, Alexander the Noble's wife, yet again. Probably Jeffrey's wife, I'm not sure. And here we have a beautiful photograph of the late Steve, because at this time photography was made, probably. And so they just took a bunch of pictures. Wolf, witch, you name it, they got it. And moving on to our final, and must I say most exquisite piece, is Jeffrey's original sword, which after the samurai, you see he lost his samurai sword in the Battle of the Ender, and so he crafted this beautiful gold and iron mixed sword. Very fascinating stuff, and it was indeed made post-photography era. And this is possibly one of the most expensive items in all of Minecraft. Dare I say so myself. And over here, we have a skeleton, which was actually depicted, again, before literature existed. They made these statues. Wait, this actually isn't part of the exhibit. So that has been our tour of all of the Minecraft's ancient artifacts. As you can see, very high value stuff, perfect pictures for the food court. Powerful stuff.